What if someone could disappear without anyone noticing until it was already over? No scream, no witness, no moment anyone could point to and say, "That's when it happened." For years, young women vanished across the UK. Different cities, different lives. No obvious connection. No shared timeline. No single place investigators could circle on a map. And for a long time, no one realized they were all circling the same man. Because evil doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it blends in, and by the time it's recognized, it's already too late. Welcome to Behind the Crime. Step into the real stories, raw footage, and shocking truths. This story unfolds across Scotland and England. Urban streets, quiet neighborhoods, places where nothing out of the ordinary was supposed to happen. The victims were young women, going about their lives, walking home, running errands, trusting familiar streets. There was no single crime scene, no obvious pattern. And the man at the center of it all, he didn't stand out. He worked odd jobs, moved often, attended church, spoke softly. To neighbors, he was forgettable. To employers, reliable enough. To authorities, just another name passing briefly through records. Normal, unremarkable. That normalcy would become his greatest weapon. The disappearances didn't begin with alarms. A missed train, a night out that went too long, a call that was never returned. People assumed the simplest explanation first. They always do. Then time passed. Days, weeks, months. Families waited for phones to ring. Friends replayed lost conversations. Police logged reports that led nowhere. Different years, different locations, but the same hollow ending. Women last seen walking short distances. Streets they knew well. Routes they'd taken dozens of times before. There were no witnesses describing a struggle. No sounds reported. No chaos. Just absence. And absence is hard to investigate. Because how do you chase something that leaves no trace? Police worked the cases separately at first. Different jurisdictions, different teams, different assumptions. Some cases were treated as runaways, others as isolated crimes. Leads came in and faded. False sightings, unreliable tips, dead ends that consumed months. What wasn't immediately clear was how often one name appeared quietly in the background. A man who moved frequently, who worked near victims' last known locations, who left towns just as questions began forming. There were missed opportunities, moments that only make sense in hindsight, files that sat untouched, patterns that hadn't been connected. Yet, until one investigation changed everything. In 2006, police were searching for a missing young woman. The trail led somewhere unexpected. A church renovation site, fresh concrete, recently disturbed ground. When investigators dug beneath it, they didn't just find answers. They found horror. A body had been hidden there, deliberately, carefully concealed. And suddenly, the past came roaring back. Old cases were reopened, names resurfaced, addresses overlapped. The same man appeared again, and again, and again. Peter Tobin, not a stranger, not a criminal mastermind, a man who had lived among everyone else, while leaving devastation behind him. Peter Tobin was eventually convicted of murder, but conviction didn't bring clarity, because investigators believe his crime spanned decades, and possibly far more victims than were ever found. Some families received answers, others received silence. There are still open questions, still names unspoken, still disappearances that may never be resolved. Tobin died in prison in 2021. With him died whatever secrets he never shared. And that may be the most disturbing part. Not the violence, not even the scale, but how easily he moved through the world, unnoticed. Some monsters announce themselves. Others wear normal lives like disguises. They wait. They blend in. They vanish before anyone realizes they were ever there. So ask yourself, how many stories remain unfinished because no one noticed in time? And how many names are still waiting to be returned? Thank you for watching. This episode of Behind the Crime, we share these stories not to sensationalize, but to remember the victims, learn from the past, and raise awareness. If you found this story compelling, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We explore real cases that deserve to be told. And remember, justice doesn't always come quickly, but truth has a way of surfacing. Stay safe. Stay curious. Behind the Crime.